right, let's get started. Thanks everyone for joining us here today for this webinar. We'll be going through a couple of topics related to what LoginRadius CIAM will look like in 2025. We'll be spending a little bit of time on some of the key features as we see it that we deployed in the past year in 2024, as well as the Q1 here of 2025, as well as some of the future state which we'll be rolling out or working on over the course of the next year here. Just a couple of housekeeping things. We have a Q&A set up, so if you do have any questions throughout the course of the webinar, feel free to drop them in the chat there. We'll try to get to some of those at the end and talk about some of those live here, but if we don't get to your question, if you're an existing customer, one of our CSMs will be reaching out to you and either schedule a follow-up call or kind of giving you some of those answers directly. And if you're someone who's just looking to get some insights into LoginRadius, we'll have a QR code you can scan and talk with one of our account reps here at the end, or you can reach out to us from our website forms. So with that being said, a couple of quick introductions. My name's Carl Wittig. I'm the VP of Customer Success here at LoginRadius. Been with LoginRadius for more than 10 years. I'm an engineer by trade, work closely with our customers throughout the full life cycle of their accounts, engaging with them around key technical best practices, deployments, architecting of the system. So a lot of great insights and use cases that hopefully we can bring to the table here as we talk about some of these features. And then with me, I have Ravi Ganta, our head of engineering. Ravi, if you want to just take 30 seconds to give a quick introduction, that'd be great.
Hey, Carl. Yeah, thank you for the introduction and welcome everyone. As Carl mentioned, we're here today to talk about what we've implemented in 2024 and how this built a very strong foundation for us and the upcoming developments in 2025. Yeah. Thanks.
With that being said, I want to jump right into it with some of the key products that we've rolled out in 2024. Some of these may already be available in your tenants that you're already using. And you may already have access to some of those. And if you don't, you want to see some of these in actions, feel free to reach out to us after the demo here, and we can take you through how these are forming some of the key strategies in identity in 2024 and beyond. But those key components at a high level are broken down into a couple of components that I've highlighted here, starting with Identity Orchestration. That's our no-code, low-code workflow automation builder. Gives you some great tools for quickly prototyping and templating workflows. Gives you the ability to structure some of those components without needing to go to development teams in code level components. So some great tools that we see enabling development teams and organizations to quickly iterate on their brands. We have AI-based branding, which is supporting that orchestration, which gives you themeability within those templates and repeatability within your themes across your different workflows and orchestrations. This is something that is an initial phase of our wider developer-focused branding initiative, which we'll be talking about as well as part of our 2025 roadmap. But this is a core tool set that's already been released in production and something you can take advantage of alongside the identity orchestration. We'll be touching on Passkeys, which is a great new security feature that's become more popular in recent years. That gives those passwordless workflows that can really enable a streamlined, user-friendly engagement to your platforms. And then we'll be touching on Partner IAM, which supports B2B identity workflows through organization management, self-service tool sets, and other workflows that enable SaaS organizations or anyone that manages account-level structures, account grouping, segmentations, to easily deploy and implement those services and features. So we'll be spending a little bit of time on each of those in our 2024 roadmap here. I'm going to jump into the first one, being that identity orchestration. So identity orchestration is that no-code, low-code identity builder. Allows you to structure through simple drag-and-drop interfaces with programmable elements. Essentially any identity journey that you want to deploy. So sign up, registration, forgot password, multi-factor authentication, combined workflows where maybe you have a dual login and registration workflow in a single transaction, as well as maintaining all of those great personalization elements and best practices that really make it feel like your own solution. So a great factoid that we have in some industry research, which we'll be sharing as part of a follow-up to this presentation. About 43% of organizations have already deployed some sort of no-code, low-code orchestration tool set within one of their environments. And we foresee that increasing over the next couple of years as AI tool sets, co-pilots, and other systems start to support those developer teams and act as a force multiplier to your development teams by providing some of these streamlined tool sets to accomplish some of those. Another one you can see down at the bottom there is by utilizing a tool set like this, it can reduce a significant amount of your development time by taking out some of those not so much complex logic, but logic that historically required a code level, application level development, taking that out of your applications and into your identity provider to handle those all directly natively within those workflows. And now, we're going to jump over to a live demo in a minute, but before we jump into that, I also want to talk about the second feature, which is our AI-based brand generation, because these very much play together, which you'll see when we go into our live demo. The AI-based brand generation is a tool set for quickly prototyping identity experiences based off of your brand's default styling, logos, colors, fonts. So how we've structured this is a tool set where you can input your logo, and we have some AI tool sets and some automation tool sets on our backend, which is going to go out to your brand, go out to your website. It's going to ingest your CSS, logos, and colors and fonts, and automatically give you a prototyped brand element that you can then use alongside all of your workflows and keep that consistent branding across your different workflows and experiences. It's again a no-code, low-code experience. We give you a bunch of out-of-the-box configuration elements that are easy to customize and configure without the need of a developer to be in there and customizing some of those things. You're able to see real-time previews. You're able to try out different iterations and layouts and templates, and it supports multiple brands. So if you have different brand use cases, different deployments that need to keep that distinct brand experience, but share a centralized workflow, centralized logical experience, then this is a great tool set that allows you to do your logic development once through orchestration and then create individual brands that could all rely on that same set of features. So with that being said, I'm going to pause there. Ravi is going to take us through the admin console and kind of highlight how those look and how it works. Gives you kind of some insights into the ease of access and the ease of development with those features.
Hey, thanks, Dal. So yeah, let's get started with identity orchestration. As you can see, the orchestration is built into our dashboard, and you can start by creating a workflow. You can create a workflow by picking one of our templates, or you can start in a canvas, open canvas, where you can drag and drop nodes, build your own logic. You'll see it in a minute. Or you can also import an existing workflow, right? So identity orchestration, because this is no code editor, it will allow businesses to design their own unique journeys, which might be very restrictive in an API-based approach, right? So it gives you that entire flexibility. You can branch out to different logical flows with control on authentication systems and different MFA factors, or even allow different brands to interact with the different authentication flows itself, right? So let me start off with a simple template I've created and get inside the canvas. Let me just go into the login workflow. So you have a search functionality here. This is how the canvas looks like. And you have your left pan with all the nodes, we call them as nodes. On the right side, we have the entire canvas. So you can simply search for a node, and you can drag and drop a node on the canvas. As for example, this is a login workflow. Start with a simple web page and a simple email and password input. And clicking on the submit button, we want authentication to be done. And I've added an extra button here, sign up button, which we want to trigger another child workflow, called registration workflow. And this is how you drag and drop. And you can add a lot of fields to this. So for example, I want to add an email field. I want to add a password field, right? Maybe I want to add a Facebook button as well, right? So this is how you can drag and drop, and you can connect nodes by just dragging out the output to the recommended field, right? So this is how our workflow is created, and as you can see, this will allow us a lot of flexibility. Taking as an example, let's say we want to branch out login workflow based on number of logins, right? I've logged in 5 times. Maybe you want progressive profiling. So all you need to do is simply add a data query node. Maybe I'll just go with number of logins, maybe greater than 4 or 5. Just save that state, and then after authentication, instead of successfully completing it, I'll connect it to the data query, and now I have the login data, and I can branch out further based on the business requirements, right? So this kind of flexibility lets you build very you have your tailor-made experiences for your end users, and then deploying this workflow is pretty straightforward. You just save the workflow. So I'm just going to preview this. I'm saying it. It'll just preview our login workflow. Find that workflow, login. So you can just click on the workflow. So you need an OIDC app to trigger this workflow. I'm just selecting one that I've already created. As Carl was mentioning, workflows paired with brands is the real deal. And for now, I'll just choose a brand that I've created by default, and then I'll preview this. As you can see, this is how the login page looks like, right? And to switch back to a different brand, all I need to do is just change the brand, and it'll work. So let me go back. The same login workflow. I change the brand, maybe something like Oracle, and I preview it. Right. So I'll get into the brand section and how we create these brands. Just a prompt, and how we can easily configure different themes on a particular brand. Let me get back to the dashboard. So this is where you can configure brands on the left side. It's in the orchestration section. I get into theme customization, and I have all these brands defined. So to create a new brand, all you have to do is go into this brand. You start with the default template. Let's say I want to add a brand for GitHub, right? So in the background, we will generate a theme that matches the GitHub branding, and it captures the interface, typography, button styles, and this will just save us a lot of time by just fetching this automatically in the background, and further allowing us to customize on all the CSS properties. Like you can customize the color palette, you can change the logo as well. I can have these layout options. You can further customize the entire body, everything that's generated for you, right? And you just save this brand as GitHub. Let me save this brand as GitHub. And I'll reopen the workflow with the same brand. Let's say see the brand, the login page brand changed by just changing the value to GitHub. So this is how orchestration and AI customization works. It's a no-code builder that lets you build out opinionated workflows and tailor-made for your customers, and then a no-code builder as well to build a theme, and can integrate a theme with an orchestration workflow, and you can achieve a lot of customizations for your different entities. moving over to Kal. Kal, you want to take?
Thanks, Ravi. So we're seeing a lot of excitement around that orchestration, simplifying a lot of development processes, especially for those repeatable processes, those templating of apps, and templating gives you a bespoke user experience without needing to have a bespoke API to accomplish it. Again, just reminding everyone, if you did have any questions, follow-up questions on anything we're covering, or you want to get more information on these features, please just drop us a question in chat. We'll try to pick some of those up at the end. Otherwise, we'll be reaching out kind of after the call over the next week here to engage with anybody who's had some interest in those. The next feature that we'll be covering is Passkeys. So Passkeys is one that I'm sure everyone at this point has heard something about in the industry. Looking back, FIDO Alliance, who standardizes a lot of the passkey protocols and support, recently released a report based off their 2024 metrics. And they've mentioned that in 2022, Passkeys had only about a 39% rate of familiarity with users in the industry. So most people weren't really familiar with what a passkey was, how it worked, or what it did. That's risen in 2024 to 57%. And that's something that we definitely see looking across our customer base and in the industry in general. Passkeys has really become a centralized focus when we talk about secure passwordless authentication workflows and modern identity experiences. It's heavily featured in recent Gartner reports and analyst briefings, and something that we foresee being something that increases in usage and starts to get adopted as the wider customer base in the industry becomes more familiar with these workflows, as they're integrated more natively into things like your browser, your computer, your mobile device, or passkey hardware devices become more popular. We're going to see an uptick in the actual utilization of this. So another factoid that came in that same report, we can share links to that as part of the follow-up. We'll be sharing this slide deck in a recording. Last year in 2024, 87% of organizations have mentioned that either they are planning on deploying passkeys or have already deployed passkeys somewhere within their organization. So that's a huge increase compared to where we were in 2022. And they foresee that about a growth rate of about 14% year over year in those metrics. So Passkeys, it's a passwordless login solution, utilizes some hardware component or some bring your own component, something like your browser, your desktop, your mobile computer, your mobile device, Apple or Windows devices. It eliminates a lot of the security gaps that are inherently present in things like OTP, SMS-based or email-based workflows, passwordless workflows that are still kind of have some exposure to password reuse, credential stuffing, brute force attacks, things like that. They're still centralized under emails or things like that. So bringing that hardware, biometric, those sorts of support really add an additional layer of security onto your engagements in those passwordless workflows. Once those passkeys and passwordless workflows are in place, they can streamline the re-engagement of your users to the platform, especially with lower touch platforms where maybe users are engaging once a month or maybe even more infrequently. A passwordless strategy really helps to reduce the return user churn rate. And it's supported across different devices and applications. And so we have a couple of examples for how that looks here. I'll pause momentarily. Rabbi will show you it in action just very briefly on one of our hosted pages. This is something that's already available. We can enable that for existing accounts if you want to try it out and get a feel for how it works. You can see a couple of different options here that are common in the industry right now. So at Microsoft, if you use any of their identity services or login services, they provide you with the ability to use face fingerprint PIN or security keys as your login option. Same with things like GitHub and some of the more developer-friendly tool sets have adopted these first. That's usually where we see that education being highest in the industry, and the end users are more familiar with it. But we are seeing that start to roll out to end user applications across our customer base as well. So I'll pause there, and Ravi will give you a quick insight into what that looks like in action on one of our demo sites, where he already has a passkey set up and how easy it is to log in once you have a passkey configured. Sorry, Ravi, you're on mute.
Yeah, thank you for that, Carl. So as Carl was just saying, that Passkeys is available. You can easily enable this in the authentication section. It's just a toggle. These are advanced configurations, but you can start with our default recommended configurations, and all you have to do is just toggle, and this is immediately available in our hosted page. So you might be familiar with this hosted page flow. When you enable a passkey, you get this additional button, which is sign in with passkey, and you also get this register with passkey. So let's say you're trying to register with a new email ID. Right now, I'm using a password manager called Dashlane that supports passkey. It can be a hardware key, it can be Touch ID, it can be Face ID, right? So we support all passkey methods. So let's see Dashlane in action. Let's register this passkey. As you can see, it's trying to create the passkey in Dashlane. I just have to confirm this. This is a user action. Once I confirm this, I'll receive an OTP. I'd have to verify the email. 1 second. Let me get the OTP. Now I verify the email and I get into the profile page, right? So this is how it works. It's pretty straightforward. There's no password involved. All you have to do is give consent to your passkey, whether it's Dashlane or your browser, or in some cases your hardware's Touch ID or Face ID, and in your phone you can scan the. You can connect your phone and your laptop using Bluetooth, and you can store the passkey across devices as well, right? So once a user is registered with a passkey, it's pretty straightforward to log back in. Let me just enter the email ID, and it identifies that when you click on sign in with passkey, it identifies a passkey is stored. So again, you'd have to give the consent, no password involved, confirm, and it'll get into the profile page. As simple as that. So this is how passkeys work, and we support both device-specific passkeys and as well cross-device specific passkeys. We get all the advanced customizations on progressive delay, where you can slowly migrate the users to enforce passkeys, and this will be available as an MFA option as well, where existing users who are already relying on passwords, they can use passkey as an additional. Yeah. This is how passkeys work. Carl, I think passkeys, as Carl mentioned, it's seeing a lot of adoption, and secure by choice. It covers all the pitfalls that were there in traditional OTP methods. Yeah.
And like any of our other features, we presented it through our hosted pages, but they come back with APIs and developer-friendly workflows, give you the ability to fully customize that look and feel, and then workflows and designs and elements. So if you're interested in those, let us know. We'll work with you to get those set up. The next feature is a little bit of a more complex extension of our platform. It's what's called Partner IAM. So traditionally in the industry, IAM has really been segregated into two main buckets: the customer-facing CIAM, which we specialize in, and then workforce IAM, which is really focused on employee access management, internal ADs, and things like that. The industry has recently differentiated a third kind of pillar within that called Partner IAM, which is a B2B-centric workflow. It shares components from both the B2C and B2E worlds to formulate a tiered approach to how you handle identity that's structured and has all of the ease of access, scale, and supportability, the customer friendliness of a B2C platform, while supporting some of those delegated management workflows, onboarding, provisioning, secure access, roles and permissions to internal organizational users. So we have recently rolled this out, allowing you to create organization structures within your accounts. As it simplifies the partner management aspect. This is something we've supported for many years now through kind of more bespoke logic structured around our custom objects. This is now natively part of the platform where we can set up some of those segmentations, some of those organizational groupings. It allows for end users who are admins of an organization to self-configure, bring your own identity providers. So if a user is part of an organization and they want to use their internal, their BTE, their workforce identity to log in to your platform, they can self-configure those, set those up, and give those tool sets to any users they add that can then log in through that bring your own identity provider. We have built-in custom roles and permissions support, RBAC, which is again configurable both from a LoginRadius tenant level as well as from an organizational level, giving controls to those organizational admins to define specific groupings of the permissions that are available for your application, and then apply those to those sub-users so they can curate that access to any organizational users that they add. So this is something that's definitely a large player when it comes in SaaS places. If you've utilized the LoginRadius admin console to add team members, that's partner IAM. If you have a utility account and you need to add in family members, or you're working on streaming applications and you have multiple different profiles within that streaming application, those are all great use cases for organizational IAM, where you give one kind of super user within your ecosystem the ability to self-manage and self-curate some of those other sub-users within their application. So we're going to go to the admin console again here. Rabbi will take you through kind of how some of that works within the admin console, and explore some of those feature sets.
Thank you, Al. So organizations is available as a standalone feature. As Carl was mentioning, we were prior handling this with custom objects, and right now this is a first-class feature. And you start with creating organizations, and this is how you create an organization. Just give a name and a domain. And once you create an organization, you can add users to these organizations with specific roles and permissions. So how do you define roles? There are roles per org, and there are roles per tenant. This is the section you usually go into, the per tenant roles. Per org roles, you just let me show the tenant roles as well. So these are the tenant roles I've already created. And I can create organization-specific roles with maybe subset of the permissions that were there in a tenant, right? So this lets you add users into the org with a specific role or roles. A user can have more than one role in an org. And once a user is added, they're part of this org. User can be part of multiple orgs. And you can also invite a user where they get an email and they have to accept the invitation to be part of this org. And you can control the security aspects of your org by enabling single sign-on and disabling maybe email password login. So by default, all the users that are part of this org only uses the IDP to log in, right? And there will be a discovery flow where we say, hey, if somebody is coming with, let's say, @loginradius.com, let's allow them into this org, right? So Z is available by default. All you have to do is enable a domain and then toggle the just-in-time permission. These are roles, how you can create roles with a subset of permissions. And a user getting into an org will by default have at least a role. If you have not created any custom roles at an org, they'll assume the default role set at the tenant level. And if you mark any of these, let's say I create a role called org1 developer, and I just gave it some normal role permission, like that, and I create this. So this is a org specific role, and I can mark this as the default role. Sorry for that. Now, any user that's joining demo org1 will assume this role, unless they were invited with a specific role. So you can also invite a user with a specific role, they'll assume that role. So this context is maintained in the background, and when the link, this particular role would be assigned. So this is how orgs, users, roles work. To recap, you can create n number of orgs. A user can be part of multiple orgs, and user can be part of an org with multiple roles. And you can design your permissions and roles to fit your needs. As Carl mentioned, this is more relevant in partner IAM use cases, B2B use cases, whether it's a SaaS company or even a healthcare company where you have multiple departments. There are department-specific roles, and user part of only some departments. You have cross-department access. So this will let you design your user life cycle and then the user segregation by organizations and roles. So I'll let Carl take over and explain the upcoming items.
I'll just get back into the slides here. Great. So yeah, organizations, just to reiterate, it's definitely another one that's had a lot of visibility in with analysts and just in the wider industry this year. Something where a lot of organizations are supporting feature sets around that, or have a strategy around that org management and org roles. So yeah, we're seeing some great interest in that. That's it for most of the 2024 key components that we wanted to discuss today. Definitely our 2024 roadmap. There's a lot of other things that we delivered and rolled out, push notifications, revamped styling and dashboards, and a lot of new tool sets. So if you do want to go deeper into that roadmap and what we did over the past year, please reach out or leave a note here. We'll be touching base with everybody on the webinar here today, but we can take you more deeper into that. We're moving on here now to 2025 roadmap. We're already a few months into 2025, so some of these have already been released. Some of them, if you're using LoginRadius in your daily activities, you probably have seen some of those transitions. So we've bucketed them into a couple of key areas of focus. Again, this is not comprehensive of everything we're doing in 2025, but some of the kind of key focus areas that we really want to put additional work into this year, that we think are going to act as force multipliers for LoginRadius end users, to really make them more efficient and make the ease of access with LoginRadius number one in the industry. So there's a few buckets, starting with redefining the developer experience. We are doing a large iteration across public-facing touchpoints. That includes our admin console, our developer docs, SDKs and libraries, and tool sets that allow you to interact with the LoginRadius backend and API. Will be similar with many industries, rolling out various AI tool sets that we hope to improve that entire experience, whether you're a developer, marketer, or anyone in between, engaging with LoginRadius platform. We want to really give you tools that make your life easy, and that can give you that increased efficiency. So we have a couple of things that we're planning as part of the 2025 roadmap that fall into that. And then finally, advanced identity management. This is kind of just a bucket that we throw multiple things into, but some of these are very key components that can really elevate the LoginRadius platform and how you use that through traditionally things that are supported by third-party service providers, or just interacting with those third-party service providers easier. So with that being said, I'm going to jump into the first one, which is redefining our developer experience. So if you've logged into one of our trial accounts, or if you have an existing LoginRadius account and you utilize that admin console, you've probably seen this already. We've recently rolled out a refreshed version of our admin console at the start of the year. With the goal of streamlining that navigation, improving content and where that content resides, and optimizing the overall experience that our end users have when dealing with the LoginRadius platform. Making it more intuitive, trying to accomplish common workflows in a simple manner, and really just polishing a lot of that user experience within that admin console. So that's already live. If you haven't seen it, please go and sign up for a free trial and try it out. Or if you haven't migrated as an existing customer, try it out. Give us your feedback. We're constantly iterating on it, rolling out new and improved changes to it. Over the next couple of months, we'll be announcing some timelines on deprecating that legacy console once we get feature parity with all the components in that new admin console. So we're really excited. There's a lot of focus. A lot of the team has been working very hard and diligently to make sure that makes it an easier experience, focused on developers, focused on people who are going to be engaging with that platform. And then alongside that admin console revamp, we've also refreshed our developer documentation. Again, we've done a phase 1 kind of rollout of that, where a lot of our key documents and layouts and designs have went out. And over the next couple of months here, we'll be further improving and aiming to structure some of that developer experience to really help with the focus on that new admin console, how you can get up and running in a very quick and short amount of time. So again, appreciate any feedback on those developer docs, that revamp. It's already live. In both situations, both of the legacy docs and the legacy console are still available, and we'll keep those available while customers get familiar with the new layouts and the new documentation. But we're really excited for some of the improvements that we've seen already in usability and navigability within those platforms. So one of the ones that we are working on moving forward is revamping how we handle configurations. So historically, a lot of our configurations have really been structured around the LoginRadius admin console. You want to set up a new identity provider, new social login provider. You need to go into the admin console and configure that developer application for your social login, or tailor the tool sets and the customizations and the settings. With our focus on that developer experience, we're rolling out new tool sets that extend. We previously had a CLI that gives some functionality and some automatability within that. We're rolling out a full configuration management API that's going to be available to our customers that allow you to do programmatic configurations of the LoginRadius configurations. So a lot of those configurations, which are historically centralized around that admin console, will be something that can now be built into your release processes, into your development tool sets, or just in your version control, having the ability to customize and configure those scripts and systems. And that goes across our platforms. So not only for the configurations and the APIs, with our orchestration and workflows, making sure that we have developer tooling in there that allows you to replicate and deploy those without needing to go into that admin console through JSON codes and through the CLI and API interfaces. Same with some of our systems like our hosted pages, where traditionally there's been very minimal version control that's available with that file maintenance and some of those code bases that go into managing those hosted pages. We're opening that up and providing more interoperability with version control software, with tools, giving you programmatic approaches and APIs that allow you to engage with those platforms. So keep an eye out over the next couple of months as we start to announce some of the specifics around this. And these are things that you'll be able to start trying out once they go into general availability here over the 2025. The second main bucket here is reimagining CIAM with LoginRadius AI. So I'm going to pass this off to Ravi to cover these next couple of slides. Ravi, I can cover the slides for you if you just want to hit next slide whenever you want.
Thank you for that, Carl. So I think we've seen a sneak peek of what we can do with brands earlier just give a website URL, and our AI tool in the background automatically picks up the branding guidelines and sets the brand for you. We are building on top of it. We see a lot of customers really like this feature, and it really helps to roll out brands paired with workflows. That's a really powerful feature. So I'm really excited to share what we're building next. So this is we're building a AI-based login page generator that not just takes in the web URL, it also understands your prompt. Let's say you want to build a login page with a look and feel like github.com. You want to add testimonials on the right side. You might want to add a image on the background, or you might want to add a footer with the login box, email input looking like a button rather than a text area. So all this prompt is understood by the tool, and then it generates the whole page for you. And we'll see like how this can transform the workflows and the host page together. So given drag and drop editor nowadays, it transforms to a prompt-based workflow. You just start with the LoginRadius agent, it builds the LoginRadius page for you. Right, so the entire authentication flow will be transformed from login to registration. All the pages will be developed, not just the login page. So the branding feels consistent throughout, and we are building the profile as well with the same branding guidelines. So a simple prompt, end-to-end working, login, registration, forget password, etc., including the profile page, will be done within a couple of seconds, right? So this is, I think we believe this is going to be a game changer, and I can't wait for you to experience and how it will transform the experience for both the customer and the end user. And the next part, we're continuing the same approach to our email templates. We've received feedback that our email template editor can be improved. So we're building on the same lines, like how we've built a login page. We also want to enhance the same branding guidelines into the email template. Like a page, the template is also a HTML. So we are able to build a HTML that aligns with the same branding you've built the login page with. So the email page builder, apart from the prompt, it will also understand some tone, some industry details to give a more nuanced look and feel. For example, a security website, their welcome email and their maybe a email verification email will look slightly different from a commerce platform where they might want to add some links to their products, etc. Right? So it understands that intent and then builds the email for you. So these two, text to design and then text to email via LoginRadius agent, is something we've been working on, and super excited to roll this out in the coming months. And we talked about text to pages and text to email, and we've seen that the workflows can get complex over time. When you are in the IAM journey, you start with a simple email flow. Later on, you want to add MFA, maybe progressive profiling later on, and then you add security features like a step-up authentication or a risk-based authentication, right? So all the time, it can get quite complex, and it'll be hard to manually manage the nodes and the workflows together. Rather, we see this as a sequel to analytics kind of a tool, where we again talk to the LoginRadius agent and make it understand that, hey, I want to build a workflow that has a sign up page, a login page, MFA section, and after MFA, I want the user to go to the profile page, right? And you can also make it understand that, okay, add a data query node that tells, we were seeing this earlier, that logins greater than 5. Let's take them through a progressive profiling stage where we ask some address and then complete this login process, right? So again, a pretty straightforward text to orchestration workflow built for you. This will be a very nice to have feature where you want to, whatever templates we have provided, if they are not sufficient, you can build this out very quickly. And we have another exciting feature. Our analytics in our current dashboards are pretty well built, but we've been receiving feedback that they'd like to see a lot more on the security analytics, as and they'd like to build the code for them if they want to don't use the hosted pages or the workflows. So what is the approach? Do I have to go through the entire documentation? Do I have to go through your SDK, the entire API spec? Not really. So I think the AI has progressed to a stage where we can train our agent with all the documents, our public documents, public API spec, and our SDK methods, and you'd be interacting with this agent to build the custom login code for your website, right? So on the same lines, this all builds on the basic structure of LoginRadius agent. All of our authentication flows and documentation is fed into this. Again, you interact with it and build a tailor-made, whether it's a React code or a Angular code, you'd be able to build the logic just by talking to the agent. So again, super excited to build and roll this out in the coming months. And we see this is the future of a lot of SaaS companies. So yeah.
And extending on that that AI tool sets a little bit with a bit of a change of pace, platform intelligence. So we have some great charts and metrics that are in that admin console already. Over 2025, we'll be completely revamping how we surface metrics. Historically, our metrics have been very focused on that first-party user data that you capture. So who that user is, when they logged in, gender, region, birth dates, things like that, which is information, first-party data you captured. We're extending that. We'll continue to capture all those. We'll be layering in AI tools where you can use natural language queries to set up segmentations, say, hey, give me a list of users who are from Canada. And it's going to spit that out right away without you needing to review and create that query and structure that query in a language our system, our API understands. Just be able to ask those questions. So as part of our platform intelligence, having that supportability for natural language queries, but as well as extending that platform and how we provide intelligence. Outside of what was traditionally just that first-party data and that data that we're tracking against that account, to also give you more comprehensive analysis around security events. So something you can see on the screen here is failed login attempts or unusual login activities, MFA triggers, how frequently your MFA or your brute force lockout or those security controls are configured, detailed platform metrics, so how the API is responding for your account, any changes in patterns. These are going to be combined approach across a couple of different feature sets with LoginRadius. Platform intelligence is kind of an overall wrapper for them. Some of those are going to be extending upon other functionality, things like our consumer audit logs, where you can have that real-time data stream into your Sign platform, providing some of those tool sets natively within the LoginRadius platform with specific retention periods, and then giving you some of those natural language tool sets, giving you some of those insights embedded into your admin console, so you have that centralized location to really understand the health of your LoginRadius account, whether that's data insights, security insights, scalability, operational insights, whatever that may be. We want a comprehensive one-stop shop for your teams without needing to come to LoginRadius and say, hey, can you generate us a report? Can you give us these metrics? We'll still work with you and support our customers to make sure they have that level of insights, but we want to put some of that controls and some of that power in your hands. AI-powered adaptive MFA. Ravi, maybe I'll let you take this slide.
Yeah, so again, super excited to build this feature. So coming to the end user security, traditional MFA has been the cornerstone for years now, and it's always a binary choice when you want to trigger MFA or when you don't want to trigger MFA. But as you can see, the AI-driven risk analysis will not just take this binary decision, it examines behavior, device, IP data, and location data, and then builds a risk score in the background. It'll happen in seconds without any noticeable delay to the user. And based on the risk score, the customer gets to decide whether they want to trigger a CAPTCHA, for example. Maybe the score is too low. You don't want to go for a restrictive MFA approach rather than like email OTP. Maybe a little less restrictive, like a CAPTCHA, right? And then if the score is very risky, then you might want to trigger an email OTP. So what's powerful about this approach is it's continuously monitoring the risk factors. It's just not at the time of the login, right? If the user is logging in from their usual location, good. If they're logging from a recognized device, are there a pattern with their login history and their IP history? So all these signals are fed into a risk engine. A risk score is calculated. Based on the risk score, customers get the flexibility to decide on the MFA challenge. So we call this adaptive MFA, it's industry standard term. And when the system detects low risk, you have a simple challenge like a CAPTCHA. You get to decide that, and when it's a high risk, you might want to go with a step-up authentication where they have to enter an OTP, right? Or trigger passkey MFA where they want to do a biometric verification, right? So pairing this with workflows, we see this as a very powerful feature that will enhance the security of the end users. And you might be familiar with our existing risk-based authentication. That's a fairly simple risk score. It's not adaptive in sense. It's not a score. It's paired with a simple logic saying that, hey, my IP has changed 4 times. Now trigger MFA on the 5th time. So, but this is taking it a step further, adding continuous learning on your factors. It's all these factors available already, and then giving you flexibility on this challenge, which challenge you want to trigger. So yeah, super excited to build this again. I think we will enhance the security of the end users quite a lot, especially looking at all the security attacks going on and the breaches going on.
Yeah, definitely over the past few years, we've seen a huge increase in credential stuffing, brute forcing attacks, account takeover attacks, and our current risk-based authentication or adaptive authentication feature, as Ravi mentioned, is fairly rudimentary, and it gives you kind of dumb single attribute risk criteria, which may be suitable for some use cases, but generally what we're seeing in the industry is a more complex, multi-tiered structure where you can apply those more robust mitigation steps selectively when there's an actual risk observed, rather than just applying them based off certain conditions. So that continuous authentication is very important for these sort of workflows. So yeah, we're excited to see that come out shortly here. We'll spend a little bit of time here on fine-grained authentication as well. I'll let Ravi take that slide.
Yes, I'd like to introduce to this exciting development on our authorization part. So as you might be already familiar with roles and permissions, we briefly touched on this in the B2B demo, where OR can have their own roles, tenant can have their own role, and then a role is basically a subset of permissions, right? So traditional RBAC has been standard for years. While it's effective and it solves a lot of use cases, it has limitations in a complex environment, right? For example, let's say we are a hospital, and let's say a doctor can be a part of a department. That's basically a role and a permission, right? But a more complex scenario would be a doctor might be not just having access to a particular department, but only during their particular shift time, or from an approved device, or from a particular location. So when you pair it with complex rule set like this, RBAC will try to show its fallbacks. This is where FGA is signed, right? So it's a rule-based engine. It's you have to define the entities and the relationships and the identities that are involved. It's pretty straightforward. Integrating this with your existing infrastructure would be through our APIs and SDK offerings. And for any LoginRadius customer, it will be a seamless upgrade from RBAC to FGA. And it'll particularly enhance the partner IAM use cases where you have multiple tenants and multiple businesses, and FGA will gives you that precision on the authorization required where RBA fails. So I get super excited to build this. This complies with all the SOC 2, GDPR, HIPAA we have. So we don't need to store anything. You build the rules and you talk to LoginRadius and enforce the rule. So yeah, excited about this, and this will be available as a standalone feature. Yeah.
Yeah, we're yeah, as I've mentioned, we're excited about it. It's going in line with a lot of our focus on helping our customers to reduce the application complexity within their applications. So similar to orchestration, taking out some of those workflows that traditionally are structured within the application level access and delegating those into LoginRadius. So you can reduce your application complexity. You can focus on what's important for your application and your business, and we can focus on that identity and unlock those tool sets for you. The next component we're talking about is decentralized ID. Now, this one is a little bit more conceptually probably farther out when we look at our roadmap, maybe later 2025. The reason for that being is it's still somewhat trying to find its niche in the industry. There's a lot of buzz about it. It's one of the, it's similar to the crypto space a couple of years ago where everybody really wants to apply this, but it hasn't really matured enough that we see it being picked up by a lot of end users or customer-facing use cases. So decentralized ID is giving that where it's traditionally your identity is traditionally managed by specific identity providers, people who have gathered that information, maintained it, and verify that information through whether it be OIDC workflows or bring your identity SAML and things like that. There are various ways of communicating that. Decentralized ID takes that control of your identity away from a vendor and puts that control within an end user's hands. So it gives a lot of portability of identity between applications. Right now, you can see on some of the slides, these come from Gartner's recent analyst report on decentralized ID. Various components of it, like identity wallet, control processes, protocols, and the trust infrastructure at various states of completion. Why we're including this as our 2025 roadmap is we see it's getting to a stage where some of those standardized protocols that allow us to create those kind of out-of-the-box connectors that are going to work well with multiple different identity stores and wallets that support that are becoming more robust. So things like OID for verifiable credentials, which you see over here, OID for VC, these are getting to a place in the industry where they're getting to a finalized standard, which we can now apply those and are being applied across the industry. So we're seeing this pop up in a lot of government spaces. So specifically in the EU, there's multiple regional services that support these bank IDs or local credentials that are following some of these standardized protocols and are working with these agencies to put some more controls and ensure those standardizations around that. The actual customer-facing industry hasn't really found too many there's no killer app for verifiable credentials yet, but we foresee the interest in this and over the course of 2025, this becoming another major player with along the same lines as things like SAML and OIDC and OAuth. We foresee that there's going to be one of the protocols, something like OID for VC, that's become more of a standardized protocol that we can now replicate across multiple use cases. And gives you that ease of access and allows those users to bring their own identity to engage with your platform without needing to have a third-party privacy concerns with third-party systems. So it's still roughly, still a little bit rough around exactly how that's going to work, and I think that's industry-wide. So yeah, we're still working to flesh some of those things out, but excited to see it. Like I said, it's got a lot of buzz in the industry. Everybody across different organizations are all looking for how they can make this part of their identity journeys, and so we see those coming down the line quite quickly here. And then finally, we have one of the major initiatives we're doing is that interoperability, providing those streamlined tool sets. You'll see some of them already in LoginRadius, the refreshed admin console, when it comes to setting up SAML connections or tying in your sign provider, or various out-of-the-box workflows. We're planning on launching a marketplace here probably later in 2025 that really structures ease of access across all of the hundreds of integrations that we have experience with and that we have deployed in the past, giving you plug and play options directly within our admin console and within various industry marketplaces to register those against your account and start using those without needing to go through complex setup or development procedures. Those will be extended into our orchestration workflows, our cloud connectors, and across various ecosystems that we already support a lot of connections with, just giving you more self-service tool sets to tie those in easily and quickly. Another component of this is launching new integrations for specific areas of expertise where we recognize that those are important to identity workflows. Things like fraud detection, identity proofing, ID verification. Those really form a lot of key security strategies, and we work with a lot of great third parties who specialize in this, that we want to make sure that those are something that you can take full advantage of and utilize the best in identity from LoginRadius as well as the best in those third-party services where they specialize in those. So providing those tool sets to easily tie those in, easily make those part of your workflows and part of your entire identity journey, and help to add an additional layer of security on top of some of those core LoginRadius features like MFA and RBA, brute force detections and things like that, and extending those platforms and services. Great. So just we got the end of the slides here. So I'm going to grab a couple of questions. Anybody who's registered questions in there, I'll try to pick a couple out here, and we can answer one or two of those. If you want to talk with us, one of us after the call, if you're not a customer, we have a QR code here you can scan. It'll put you in touch with one of our account reps. And if you are a customer, either send me an email directly. I'm sure most of you have my email. Reach out to your CSM or scan this QR code. It'll take you over to our support desk to lodge a support ticket. We'll be reaching out to you. But let me pull up one or two questions here. So let me see. One of the questions we have, organizations are still hesitant to implement passkeys. Why is this the case, and how are you working with customers to accelerate this adoption? So yeah, that's a great call out. Definitely passkeys is something that has taken a little bit to get end users educated on it. And even right now, if I talk to my mom and dad, they're a little bit older demographic, they don't know what a passkey is. So that education to end users is really one of the core steps. So what we see in our customers who are deploying passkeys is also deploying tool sets that can help guide customers through that passkey adoption. Educate them on what a passkey is, educate them on step-by-steps on how they can configure a passkey. Most customers are utilizing tools that support passkeys. They're just not familiar with what those are. So Chrome browser, Apple, Samsung mobile devices, they all support passkeys. Ravi showed you Dashlane, password managers. Lots of people are familiar with these concepts. It's just a matter of educating them on why that's beneficial to them and how that can benefit them. And like I mentioned in that factoid earlier, we do see that increasing year over year. Comparing 2022 to today, when I introduce passkeys to new customers or to new developers working on it, I very rarely have someone today that doesn't really know what a passkey is, whereas in 2022, where most of the time we're educating them first on what a passkey is and then how it works. So definitely the industry is growing, and that's why we think that that's going to form a major player when it comes to passwords. Google and all the major industry players are really pushing away from passwords. Everybody knows the security issues that come with the password and how people manage their passwords, and passwords will never be that secure one-stop shop for security, and you'll always need something like passkeys or MFA or something to support that. So great. Let me see if I can pull up another question here. So how does our organization management scale? So definitely scalability is something that LoginRadius has a heavy focus on. That's one of the key differentiators when you look at the B2E space, that employee access management, who generally deals with smaller scale or more forecastable patterns. I mean, people are logging in if they're starting the shift at 8 and logging out at 5. You can kind of forecast those, and you kind of know when the peaks and dips are, and it's lower impact to have an employee temporary no access than it is for a customer who you'll hear about in your public posting and things like that. Whereas a customer-facing experience where you're dealing with volume users, you're dealing with at-scale users. So we think that kind of uniquely equips us to deal with these SaaS vendors and these organizations who are kind of in the middle of that. They deal with scale users, but they also have requirements for those kind of curated approaches. So our platform, similar to all of our systems, is structured with scale in mind. So our systems support various tiers for requests per second and scalability. And these things, from a scalability and security perspective, these are extensions of our platform. So they go into all the same testing and evaluation procedures that we do with our B2C applications. Includes robust kind of stress and load testing, compliance with all of our reporting, SOC 2, ISO, all those controls and standards we have in place, regional privacy and security compliances, GDPR, CCPA, whatever that may be. All those things are taken into account when we're doing these evaluations, when we're doing this development, to ensure that these applications are scalable, secure, and meet your needs as users. And definitely with features like this, which are relatively new, we look to our customers to help guide us in where to improve upon those features. So definitely if you have a B2B use case within your organization, even if it's not structured in the same environment as your existing one, please reach out to us, let us know. We can sit down and explore kind of how it may support your initiatives, how it may ease that B2B use case, or whether there's some improvements we can make to that platform that would make it more in line with what you would need. So definitely love having those conversations. Ravi and the product team is always eager to get some time with our customers and have some of those discussions. Ravi, any questions here that you got that you want to take quickly here, or else we'll let everyone go and then we'll be following up with some next steps here.
Yeah, I see one question that asks basically, for organizations that rely on existing hosted page, what's the best way to transition to an orchestration workflow? So yeah, this is I think the orchestration doesn't replace the hosted page solution. It complements the hosted page solution. So, but we do recommend our customers to not just completely replace the entire authentication journey with orchestration. Rather, start with the low traffic workflow, maybe like a reset password workflow where the traffic is relatively low, maybe then an update email workflow. And then slowly transition the traffic to workflows from hosted pages. But we really see both of them complementing each other, pairing with a login sign up page where you see it's standard always, and then maybe a progressive profiling use case where you need a very specific journey which has some logic behind this. Go to a workflow, but you can use both of them parallelly at any given time.
Great. It doesn't look like there's too many other questions there that we can answer today. So if you have left a question, we didn't get to it, we'll follow up here offline and can either get on a call or send over some details on that. Everyone who's joined the meeting here or registered should get a copy of this meet recording as well. If you want to circulate that with your teams, feel free to. And then if you've booked a consultation here with one of our reps, we'll be reaching out as well. And for existing customers, look out for an email from our CSMs to touch base if you joined this meeting and get some feedback on that. But we really appreciate everyone's time in joining us here today. Hopefully it gives you some insights into some of the things we're working on. And like I said, we have a lot of plans that we weren't able to get to today in our roadmap and in our strategy. So keep an eye out for for communications. We do a monthly newsletter. We sync up with a lot of our customers through our QBRs and our business meetings, where we'll be spotlighting some of these things. Or if you have some interest in some identity initiative that you haven't heard us talk about, feel free to shoot us an email and we can let you know how we can support that. We may already support it in our environment, or where that fits within our future plans. But again, really appreciate everyone's time here today. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll be in touch.
Bye.